Nice to see you again, Meredith.
You too, eh? Always.
Welcome. So you've got a joint exhibition.
Two artists, one technique.
Beautiful techniques. Can you tell me a bit about what inspired you to do a joint show with Jennifer Cranshaw?
So the joint show came about because Jennifer actually got in touch with me. She's an artist from America and works in a very similar process to me, which is quite unusual because I don't think many people are crazy enough to do the type of work that I do. So she wanted to have a show together. She thought that would be interesting. So did I. So Anne was kind enough to have us both for this show. So that's how it came about. So Jennifer's work is different to mine in the fact that she uses a lot of metallic thread. So hers have this wonderful sparkle and glow about them. And her work is, she's very interested in structure, I understand. There's a lot of sort of little hints to traditional motifs in her work. And in this current work, there's a lot of creepy crawlies, snakes and bugs and things like that. So I think there's a bit of a good, evil kind of thing going on, but I can't really talk too much to her work, but I just think it's kind of interesting to be able to exhibit alongside her work because it is similar to mine in so many ways, but still vastly different.
And the collaboration between the two of you, how did you make that happen, Meredith?
There wasn't, I think. I think we sort of spoke just through email about what it was that we were creating. We were familiar with each other's work. She was definitely familiar with mine. And I think she seems to have gone in a sort of a more nature inspired route for this particular exhibition. It seems different to her past work, so perhaps that is somewhat influenced by mine. My colours in this exhibition I think have become more subdued and muted and natural. Perhaps that was a bit influenced by her sort of more simple colour palette. So I think we definitely did feed off each other for this exhibition, even though we were on other sides of the world and working completely in isolation. There's still a bit of cross-pollination happening there.
So yes, your colourways, this exhibition is a whole lot more subdued. And that's where you've been moving of late?
Probably not consciously. I think I've been trying to be a lot truer to the real colours of the specimens that I'm working from. And in the past I've done a lot of work with coral and really trying to play up the vibrancy in those colours. But for this exhibition I was really looking at a lot of things that were local. So plants in my garden, on my windowsill, or just within very close vicinity to my home. And I was trying to match them very closely in colour. And perhaps the time that I was working, a lot of this stuff was made early in the year, in summer and in autumn. So the colours were a bit more subdued. So the eucalypt leaves that I were collecting were on the ground. They weren't fresh and new, they were on their way out. So they were still a beautiful rainbow of colours, but a more subtle rainbow.
Do you think that's reflective of having become a mum 2 years ago and looking at what's around you and what's immediate?
Definite. Life is very immediate now that I have a small human. And I think you notice, even though life is very quick now, I find noticing the small things is still very important. So my field work has definitely pulled back, and that's why it's so local for this exhibition. I'm literally with my daughter all the time that I'm doing my field work. So it's for when we go on walks, we collect things or things within the home. So that's very much a part of the body of work that's in this exhibition. It's because of my environment and my time now as a mum. So yeah, definitely feeds into it.
Has she influenced you in the way that she views the world, do you think?
I think so. In some ways, you know, she doesn't seem to notice big things, but then she can notice the smallest things. She can spot a plane in the sky that is so tiny I would never see it. She will pick up the interesting leaf off the ground or find the bug. So she sees the world in a different way, maybe with very new eyes. And yeah, it's very interesting. You'd think taking her out to do field work would just be a big headache, but it's actually just a really nice way, even though I'm seeing environments that I've seen for a long time, even in my own home, it's different when you see them through the eyes of a child. So I'd never really thought about that, but yeah.
And I suppose it would be of great interest for people about how you run a very successful career as a fibre artist, as you are, and congratulations on that, as well as raising such a beautiful little 2-year-old. They're very consuming, both of those things.
They are, but they're both things that I'm passionate about, and I try to manage my time well. I've also got good supports around me. I have a wonderful supportive husband, couldn't do it without him, and luckily my daughter sleeps pretty well too, so she has some decent naps during the day when I can get admin stuff done. So, but it's a juggling act, and sometimes I drop some balls, but most of them are up in the air at the moment.
Because she comes to your studio, doesn't she?
She does. Not as much now, but she used to, yeah, you know, she'd come to the studio, we'd play when she's awake, and I work when she's asleep. So it's kind of her second home.
Well, it's very admirable that you're still producing the amount of work that you are and running the number of workshops that you are as a new mum, or as a mum with a small baby.
Oh, well, I try. I'm very bad at saying no to people, so I just try and do what I can, but while still managing everything else.
I'd love you to talk about these mandalas. They're new for you, Meredith, aren't they?
Yeah, well, the large circular format is not new to me. That's something that I come back to again and again. I think that's because as an embroidery artist, you often work in an embroidery hoop, so the circle feels very comfortable. But this collection, where there are many leaves coming together, is new. I think I counted them. There's over 100 leaves in these pieces. So it was a lot to get the design right, and a lot of work. But I really like the rhythm of these pieces, and it was very much, even though it was the same motif of that eucalyptus leaf again and again, the subtle changes in colour from observing the subtle changes that these leaves go through and the colours that they go through and change as a result, was sort of really the focus of this. So while these pieces were huge challenges, I'm now very proud of them. I think they're my favourite pieces in the show.
So when you were designing them, did you design them as paper cutouts and laid them out to make sure that the shapes and the movement worked, particularly in the green one where you've got them moving much more than the red? Is that how you designed them to start off?
Not with paper cutouts, but definitely with pen and paper. So I'll get the design right as a pencil drawing first, and it's probably my favourite part of the process because, you know, that's where it's most creative. And this was my first attempt at it, and then the green mandala was my second attempt, and I feel that is a little bit more successful, a bit more uniform in the size and how they all fit together. Maybe my third attempt will be even better.
So you're going to keep pushing this idea of mandalas a bit?
I do like the idea. I really like the arrangement, and I enjoy the challenge of them. I have a few more sketched up with different leaves in my studio that just haven't made it onto the sewing machine yet, so we'll see where it goes. There's always too many ideas and not enough time.
Meredith, you've been focusing on the natural world, be it corals or leaves, now for over a decade, and what I watch is that you keep pushing that. You haven't moved away from those subjects. So it's something that you're still really interested in diving into and pushing?
Definitely. I think the further you dive in, the deeper you go, the more you look, the more you see. So I definitely haven't exhausted that world of inspiration. If anything, I just keep finding an endless array of things to explore. And even, as I said, with this exhibition, exploring things very close to me in my home that otherwise had been overlooked. But then when you start looking, you start to realise how beautiful they are and how intricate the structures are, and that's really what I try to celebrate in my work. So yeah, I don't think I'll be making any major shifts anytime soon. I don't feel the need to.
That's such an important lesson for us all about staying with a focus and just keep pushing it, because it does take you to places that you never thought you would go to.
Absolutely. And any form of study, I think, as I said, the more you learn, the more you realise that you don't know. So it's a wonderful way to spend time, and I'm very grateful that I have the opportunity to do it.
Now, as I said, you've become very successful. You've just published a book. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And been very well acknowledged around the world. So I imagine for you the next few years maybe just more of the same, exhibiting and workshops and raising children.
Yeah, the next few years are looking busy. I've had a few people from the other side of the world invite me to workshops and things like that, and a few other things on the horizon, but I am still quite family focused at the moment. You know, my daughter might like a little brother or sister at some point. I'm sure that'll slow things down again, but I'm just kind of rolling with it at the moment and seeing where it will lead. It's very exciting to have all these things on the horizon, but it's very humbling, but it's also fine to reel it back when it needs to.
Okay, so I'm interested for you to just talk to us a bit about how you're making your art so successful and what advice you'd give to other people who are very fine fibre artists as well.
Sure, I think like anything, it doesn't happen overnight, and it's a lot of hard work, and it might look like I just spend my day studying leaves and playing with my daughter and sewing artworks, but that's a very small part of what I do. And I think with anything, if you want to be successful with it, you have to take it seriously and you have to treat it seriously. And if you really want to pursue artwork and pursue working as an artist, you need to treat it like a job and manage yourself and be professional and always have that in mind as well. It is a juggling act, just like motherhood is. But working for myself and being able to create things that I'm really proud of is the most satisfying job that I've ever had. So it's well worth all the effort.
I would encourage people to look at your website because they would get a sense of the level of professionalism that you've brought to fibre art as well as to your career.
Oh, yeah, it's a great starting point. Thank you.
And thank you for once again exhibiting. I think this is number 4.
It is number 4. I've never exhibited anywhere as much as I have here, and it's an honour always.
Oh, so lucky. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne.